Hey people, so in this video I am going to do my best to try to convey all the information I have about conveyor systems and hopefully succeed to do so. Anyhow, let's get started. The first thing I'm going to touch on here is the push-pull system, and I'll explain it as I go along. These first three here, grinders, drills and collectors, are all pushers. That means that whenever they get something into their inventory, they will try to push them to any inventory that has space in the system. That also means that you can generally use them to store cargo if they are connected to another inventory, unless you go into their options in the control panel and select use conveyor system off. That way you can still transfer cargo to them, but it won't push it out automatically. Welders are both pushers and pullers. They mainly push, meaning that if you put items into the inventory while they're powered, they will push it to the nearest to any inventory, but when they need items for welding, they will pull them in from any inventory they have access to that has the items they need. Assemblers and refineries are, well, refinery is technically a puller, because if the refinery has space and there is ore in the inventory somewhere in the system, it will pull that ore in and start refining. At the same time, when it has refined items, when it refines so many things that it fills its own inventory, it will start pushing the refined items out into inventories. This is basically the same thing with the assembler, except when you start building something, it will pull in the items it needs, well, the kinds of items. It will pull in more than it needs for some weird reason, but that's that. And if it assembles more items than it has inventory for, it will then push a stack of those items to an inventory in the system and continue assembling. It will, however, not put the items it has drawn in to begin with back out in the system. Also, if you are in the inventory in the production line and press disassemble, it will draw in all items that it can disassemble from the system it is connected to. That means until its own inventory is full. Reactors, manual weapons and turrets are all pullers. They will pull in the items they require, so that's missiles, ammunition and uranium, but they won't fill themselves completely. I'm not sure why that is, but it's a good thing if you lose one of these things that they are not stopped full. So yeah, but that's basically it. If they're connected to a system that has the item they require, they will start pulling it automatically. Connectors and ejectors are so and so. You can with both of them in the control panel enable them to be pullers by setting collect all to on. But if that's off, they will just act as normal inventories and not do anything. One thing I find people are confused about this: the throw out option makes the connector throw out everything it has in its inventory in small chunks, likewise with the collector. But that does not mean the connector will automatically push items from one inventory to another when it's connected to another connector. In that state, it will do absolutely nothing. Likewise, if the exit is blocked by either structure, another connector, or one of the objects it has ejected, it will stop ejecting until the nozzle is clear and the X will go red. As I explained before, these three are pushers. That means when they are connected to an inventory, either directly or through connectors, they will push everything they have to the nearest inventory. I've made these two to kind of demonstrate this, but also show off some simplistic, relatively simplistic survival science. They basically don't have anything they don't need, except that they have 2 to 4 sets of thrusters for everything. But that's a matter of taste, or in regards to the miner, it's a matter of stability. But there are no armor blocks except for 4 on this one. I'm not sure why I put those on. But yeah, I'll just demonstrate the pushing of the grinder inventories. This is actually also the ship I use on my own survival server. I find it pretty effective and relatively cheap to make. Oh yeah, one thing, I'm using large conveyor tubes for small blocks here. That is because some objects, primarily things that have been assembled, cannot pass through small conveyor tubes. They will simply won't fit. I'm not sure. Well, I understand why they made that system, but I usually don't have issues with it because, for example, grinders do not have any small ports. You have to use the large ports anyhow. But yeah, as you can see, I just ground up some stuff and it's in the grinder's inventory, and they have tried to push it to the connector, which is full. So now they don't have anywhere to push the stuff. And if I then maneuver over and connect, they will start to eject all the items into the large container, which is down here. Well, first, okay, pushed it into the nearest inventory, which is the connector. So yeah, it's put it all into the connector, and if I had enough to fill the connector, it would go to the large car container. That's also one thing I want to touch on. The reason I don't have any car containers on my grinding ship is because they have pretty large cargo space on their own, 13.5 thousand liters. So you can have, let's see, what's that? That's 2754, 67,000 liters in this ship without any car containers, and it will clear itself when you dock automatically, so you don't have to drag anything over manually. I find that totally worth the lacking cargo space. And as with the miner, it's basically the same, except with the amount of ore we get here, which shouldn't be much. You should also see an example of the refinery pulling the ore. Yeah, that should be fine. Oh, connectors like merge blocks also supply power. That means if you connect a small ship to a large ship or station via connector, or any other ship via connector that is unpowered, you will power that object. They will, however, not share thruster controls, etc. And the refinery has already pulled all the ore. So yeah, and as you can see, nothing is stuck in the connectors and such, because the refiner will suck that right up. And if the ship had more than the refiner could take and you left the ship, it will gradually pull the ore as well. Now, this is something I probably should have explained to begin with, but it kind of slipped my mind. The whole point of a conveyor system is to connect inventories. Any inventory connected via tubes, or if you push two objects to get two cargo ports. For example, if I went to this refinery now and we take a look at, let's just clear up some of that inventories, those inventories. There we go, it's disconnected. Oh yeah, if you have to stay even stations apart, which they're not physically connected, you will not be able to see the inventories of the two. But now I have the refineries and I have the reactor down here. If the refinery has said refine some uranium, it will start pulling it down. So it will pull from any source in the conveyor system, and you don't need conveyor tubes to actually connect two things, just two cargo ports touching. And no matter how many inventories you connect to the system, you will always be able to see all of them. And also you'll be able to see all of the inventories no matter if they're connected or not, but as long as they're connected you can pull stuff between the different inventories. And that's basically what a connector does. It adds the extra vessel or whatever is connected to that inventory system. I really don't get conveyor blocks. I'm sure it's an oversight from the devs, but this is a large conveyor block and this is a large small cargo container. Now the large conveyor blocks the large conveyor block is more expensive to make than the cargo container. It doesn't come with the same inventory that it does, and it actually draws power. I think it's about 40 watts or something when it's connected to two or more inventories, but they serve the exact same function. If you replace any conveyor block on your large ship or station with one of these, it will do exactly the same, except you will now have 15,625 liters more of cargo space, although it can get pretty messy on the inventory screen when you have a lot of inventories. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I think that's about it. Let's just wait a second and see if anything pops up. No, I think that's it. Yes, there was one thing. I read that depending on the angle, as you could see with this, when the ore was pushed from when the items were pushed from the grinder ship and into this, it would stop at the first inventory. Now if you have inventory with system with a conveyor or connector where you have them branching out from a single point, there is a priority they will take. Like if I had a cargo container. Seriously, why do I get lag? I don't get it. And we're lagging. Fantastic. If you had a cargo container, oh, I'm in survival, that's whatever. If I had a cargo container here, and let's say one back here, there is a specific priority it would take. It would start filling up one, then another, and then a third, instead of just spreading it out. And I'm not sure about that order specifically because I've never had to use it. I have not seen any reason to do so, but I guess it could be nice for organizing or something. But you will have to Google it or look it up on the forum. Oh, on that note, if you have several, let's just check I'm going to talk about reactors now, so I need the uranium back. Yes, if you have several reactors, we have 3 on this ship, all connected to the small ports on the connector. 3 reactors. Now if I drop the uranium into the inventory, they are doing absolutely nothing. Okay, so that's weird. There we go, now it's starting. Okay, they're pulling in very little at the time. I actually think they're pulling in as they're using. As I said, they won't fill themselves up, they will just grab a certain amount, and they're rising, all of them. the uranium will be spread evenly. So if I take this away, it will start to spread evenly. It won't just bunch it all into one inventory. It will try to make them every tick gives them an equal amount. So you don't have to worry about the placement of your reactors in the system or anything. As long as uranium goes into the system somewhere, all your reactors will get an equal share of that batch. Now I think that was it. If I've missed anything you've noticed that you don't understand or whatever, or if you have any other questions regarding to what I've explained, feel free to ask in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer your question. Thank you for watching and see ya.